What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be going over how the Steelers can use more empty personnel to help Kenny Pickett take a leap in year two. Empty theory is just something that I've been doing a lot of research on with many NFL play callers, kind of leaning into this philosophy, particularly as it pertains to helping young quarterbacks, get more information pre-snap and help accelerate their decision making post snap. So you just look around the league, some of the examples, Joe Burrow, over 100 of his attempts last season were out of empty personnel, and they were wildly successful with that in Cincinnati. And then you look at Philadelphia with Shane Steichen turning Jalen Hurts into an MVP caliber quarterback, which gave him, a head coaching opportunity. While Jalen Hurts was in the MVP discussion really all year long. So just before we get into this one, please make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel for this type of content. This really helps grow the channel and helps me bring even more stuff to you guys, just like this. So let's get started. I've got about 5 to 6 play cut-ups from the Steelers season last year. Basically, how it's going to work is you guys are going to see the play diagram, and then we're going to watch the play, and then I'll kind of go back, rewind, and then go over kind of some of the details on why, detailing why I like empty personnel so much and why I think that the Steelers should lean more into it as a result. So just against the second matchup against the Bengals, Kenny Pickett's first time seeing this Cincinnati defense. The good thing about empty personnel is, it's a difficult formation to try and disguise what you're doing defensively, whether that be what you're doing with your blitz protection stuff or with your coverage rules. And you see the Steelers are going to motion Najee Harris out to the slot. And what that does is give Kenny Pickett a man or zone indicator. You see a man follows him into the slot. That basically tells us that we got man coverage. And it also takes a guy off the line of scrimmage, which makes it easier for him and the offensive line to tell, which guys are potentially coming on a blitz and which guys are going to be, in coverage. And the Steelers are going to be running what's called a sail concept up to the top of the screen. We get a go route from George Pickens, a sail route from Pat Fryermuth, which is really just like a 12-yard out route, and then kind of this flat route from the tight end. With the Bengals running, this is press man all the way. This is cover one. We got tight press coverage on all the way across the board. And really, for Pickett, this is a pretty easy read. You got a center fielder back here. The only thing you got to do is making sure, you keep your eyes on him. That way, he maintains his positioning in the middle of the field and can't get over top of any deep ball throws. But anytime you get a look like this is where you matchup hunt. You take your best matchup. You can take some shots down the field and you capitalize. And, he decides to go to Pickens on that one, beating Eli Apple over the top. Really in empty personnel, a lot of times what you see is these quick throws, quick hitters for cheap yardage. And that's just why another reason I like spreading the defense out and taking what they give you underneath. This is from the Falcons game from last year. Unfortunately, we get a drop from Deontay Johnson, but let's kind of just go back and look at, how this play developed. Again, the Steelers are going to motion the running back. This time it's Jalen Warren, but he's going to go all the way out to the number 1 spot. So this is, again, giving Kenny Pickett some information, some free information before the snap. The Falcons are going to respond by sending this linebacker out there to cover him. Now, even though to the strong side of the field, we get a cornerback that's playing, 8 yards off, could potentially be playing cover 3 with this middle field close look with the center fielder in between the hashes. Just realistically, the Falcons aren't going to ask this linebacker to come back here and cover the deep third. So whenever he comes out to guard the running back at number 1, we know we got man coverage. So the slot defenders, this guy playing tight outside leverage. We got AJ Terrell on the number 1 wide receiver for the Steelers, Deontay Johnson. Going to get a slot fade, slant, and then just 2 crossing routes over the middle of the field, 2 end breakers, just trying to create a little rub. Johnson does a good job, working with pace and breaking AJ Terrell off. Just unfortunately, he, drops the ball on his way to what would definitely have been a first down if you just pause this where he drops it. This guy's not a factor in the play. This guy's got his back turned to the ball. We really have a one-on-one with this center fielder. Definitely going to get the first down, probably a lot more as long as Johnson can make that first guy miss. So really a good play call that unfortunately ends up in a incompletion where we really had something going there. This is really the type of alignment that I think empty gives you the best benefits from. And I'll kind of explain that after you see this first down catch from Deontay Johnson from that Falcons game. Anytime, you're in 11 personnel, the defense is normally going to respond with their nickel package. The Steelers are in 11 personnel. Like I said, we get three wide receivers, we got one running back and one tight end. Now, putting Deontay Johnson at the number 2 spot to the weak side of the formation is key because the defense is always going to align their nickel back to the strong side of the passing strength, right? So what this does is, and you will see, we're running just 4 verticals. Everybody's just running a go route, and we are isolating Deontay Johnson on this outside linebacker. Uh, the Falcons are trying to disguise this as best as they can as like a too high safety look, but just some of the indicators that we can see, these corners are playing about 8 yards off. This guy's got his back to the sideline. That's a really good indicator of zone coverage, playing some bail technique. And then we got this nickel back playing inside leverage, peeking towards the quarterback. So anytime this happens, and we got a defender right behind him capping the route, we know that we're probably getting some type of fire zone, some type of zone blitz. And Pickett knows that. Even though, what he does is he confirms that this safety is going to the middle of the field. And, this is like, stealing right here. This is too easy. We're getting our best receiver on a outside linebacker type, one-on-one in space. I mean, look at this window that he has to throw this ball to. I mean, that's perfect. Get the ball in the hands of your best playmaker, and boom, easy first down to move the chains. Um, Pickett made some really impressive throws against the Ravens in the second to last, I think, game of the season. The Steelers are running what's called Hank. This is a really popular concept at every level of football, but one that the Steelers have been running since the Bruce Arian, Ken Wisenhunt days, back when Big Ben was the quarterback. And Baltimore is running cover 3 match. I'll kind of show you guys how this one kind of plays out. But basically, Hank is we get 2 burst hitches from the outside receivers. We get a OTB route or over the ball route from Pat Fryermuth at the sticks. And we get 2 flat routes underneath to widen those second level defenders. Kind of show you guys what Pickett is reading or deciphering pre-snap. So what he's looking at here is, the alignment of the safeties. They are trying to disguise this a little bit, but this dude is cheating towards the hash, towards the passing strength with this extra tight end right here. And also, we're looking at the second level defenders. We've got 3 second level defenders right here, and we're in a 3-by-2 set. Anytime we're balanced, we get a balanced defense like this. We want to read the strong side, and that's exactly what Pickett does. Whenever he's reading the strong side, he confirms that safety's rotating back to the middle of the field. Kyle Hamilton has to open up his hips to carry number 2 when he goes vertical. George Pickens is trying to step on the toes of that outside boundary cornerback on his way back to the ball. That's a really good throw from Pickett on the inside, away from that cornerback's leverage, and an awesome hands catch by George Pickens. And one thing that I wanted to point out too, I think it kind of looks like Pickett might be a little bit late here because he hits the back foot of his drop. And normally you would like him to just, step up and rip this ball instead of waiting for him to get his head around and fully start working back to the quarterback. But the reason for that is because in Hank, normally you have these flat routes that are, extending to the boundary. And what you're doing is trying to get this defender to widen out of this throwing lane. Well, the Steelers are having these guys chip the edge rushers to give their tackles some help and protection. So it takes them a little bit longer and throws up the timing of the drop just a bit to where he has to basically hit the top of his drop, take a hitch, 2 hitch up, and then deliver a strike. But an excellent throw, really good ball placement, and a really good catch. Next play that we're going to see, these next 2 are really just, kind of more simple plays. In fact, they're actually the same exact play call, just in different quarters of this game against the Eagles from the beginning of the season. But just kind of going to go over a little bit about kind of what Pickett's reading in this scenario. The Eagles are really when we spread them out like this, they're forced, not being able to disguise their coverage. We clearly are getting zone indicators across the board, right? We don't have this guy. This guy's playing outside leverage. We've got two cornerbacks playing about 7 yards out towards the boundary, and then we've got a deep center fielder right here. So this gives the impression of a cover three look off the jump. And what the Steelers are trying to do, again, trying to isolate Deontay Johnson as the number two receiver to the weak side of the formation. They're going to be running an Omaha route or concept with Chase Claypool, which is really just like a four-step out route. And with this cornerback out here playing, 7 yards off, Pickett is going to kind of look his way. And once he sees him backpedaling, he understands this is an easy throw to the sideline. The only thing with this is one of those where as soon as you hit the back foot of your drop, you see Pickett's got his cleats all the way in the ground, stepping forward, his hands separating right here. This is before Claypool has even got his head turned around. And that's exactly what you want to do because you can't be late when throwing to the sideline, or else this is going to get pick six and this guy's going to be walking to the end zone. So, really good throw here to the sideline, hits Claypool. It's an easy 8-yard gain on first down that keeps you ahead of the chains. And then, here's the Steelers running literally the exact same play. But this time that Philly is trying to do some creative disguises on the back end, kind of play this one through. But basically, this ends up in another 5 to 6 yard completion for Deontay Johnson on first down. So kind of just to rewind this one, some pre-snap indicators that we've got working for us here. Again, this weak side safety is playing really far off. He's about 10 yards deep. We have this free safety kind of in the middle of the field, right up the hash of the number 3 receiver. With the Steelers running the same exact concept. We get an Omaha route up at the top. We get a little option or sit route from the number 2. And then on the backside, we just get a wrapping end breaker. But just some zone indicators that we're getting on this play as well. Like, look at this cornerback. He's got his back turned towards the sideline, bell technique. We've got all this space right here, all this open area to throw this quick throw to. Pickett sees that. As soon as he hits the top of his drop, boom, ball's out. And Johnson's able to kind of just duck ahead, get 5-6 yards on first down to stay ahead of the chain. So, yeah, I mean, the Steelers didn't really use empty a ton last year. Pickett only threw, I think, 35 passes out of empty personnel for about 8% of his total attempts. You compare that to like Joe Burrow, who, threw for about 17% of his attempts last year out of empty. You can see the Steelers could get those advantageous situations, by putting Deontay Johnson as the number 2 receiver in the weak side of the formation. Philadelphia did this with Devontae Smith over and over last season. He ate on those types of looks. There's a lot of benefits to empty. Like I said, it just gives you so much information pre-snap, spreads the defense out, makes it easier on a young quarterback who's still learning how to process. And it helps them play quicker, in my opinion. I just look around the league, I see all these young quarterbacks getting these easy throws and easy looks post snap, and it's something that I really want the Steelers to lean into next season as he heads into that year 2 critical part in his development for sure. So if you guys like this video, please again make sure you like the video, consider subscribing to the channel. I have more parts to this series of how the Steelers can potentially get Kenny Pickett to that next level and take that year 2 leap. This is just part 1. But if you guys like this one, and this does really well, we're going to move on to part 2 here soon, maybe in the next week or so. I'm excited about that, excited to talk some ball. So drop me a comment what you thought of the video, but also like your expectations for Kenny Pickett and some of the things that you guys would like to see more of from him next season in 2023. I will be back next time. Appreciate you guys. Peace.